Sir Lan, it looks like it's useless to talk to you. Lin Yun gently shook his head and extended his hand. In a flash, a shocking mana fluctuation suddenly rose, just like a huge vortex. A few charging ice field mammoths over 10 meters away were instantly sent flying, letting out deep roars. Then, Lan didn't even know what happened to him, his body flew towards Lin Yun. At that time, Lin Yun only raised his hand and firmly grabbed this 4th-rank Archmage's neck. How could this be? Lan suddenly realized that he, an esteemed Archmage, was grabbed by the neck by a 5th-rank High Mage. This was extremely humiliating. Just as he thought of this, he recklessly roused his mana. But just as he roused his mana, it was forcibly suppressed by an extremely tyrannical force. Lan then screamed, his whole body almost collapsed as his 4th-rank Archmage power felt extremely insignificant at this moment, he simply couldn't contend against that tyrannical power. It was like a nightmare. No, this might be even more terrifying than a nightmare. When he discovered that he couldn't struggle free, Lan Merlin almost went crazy on the spot, he simply couldn't believe this. As a genuine 4th-rank Archmage whose power was close to the high rank, how could he be so powerless against a 5th-rank High Mage? I already gave you a chance, but you didn't cherish it, it's time to punish you now, to stop you from causing trouble for us. Lin Yun's expression was calm. He didn't do anything superfluous after saying this and only chanted a mysterious incantation. What punishment? As he said these words, Lan suddenly felt that his mana stopped flowing, as if it had been shackled by some power. Regardless of how he tried to rouse it, his mana wouldn't react. He no longer needed the young mage's answer, he already knew what the punishment was. Mana shackles. How could this be? Boundless horror filled Lan Merlin's eyes, he was in disbelief, he wasn't unfamiliar with mana shackles, he had even mana shackled some mages from hostile forces. He really hadn't expected it to happen to him one day. And more importantly, the other side wasn't a high-rank Archmage or a Heaven Mage, he was only a 5th-rank High Mage. A 5th-rank High Mage mana shackling a 4th-rank Archmage. No one would believe this if this spread, it was so absurd it would be treated as a joke. But Lan didn't find it funny, he could really feel it at this moment, the feeling of falling from the sky, becoming a powerless mortal. The feeling of having all the mana he had accumulated during his life being mana shackled. He might have already collapsed due to this sudden change had his mind not been tempered through decades of battling. He was in disbelief even now, is this young Mappa really a 5th-rank High Mage? He had enough reasons to doubt. How could a 5th-rank High Mage be powerful to the point of being able to easily suppress an Archmage? Moreover, Lan wasn't a newly advanced Archmage, he was a genuine 4th-rank Archmage, and close to the 5th rank. But even so, he was still effortlessly restricted by the young mage's mana shackles. He almost gave up resisting when he faced the young mage's terrifying power. That was too frightening. Lan had been fighting countless battles in the Raging Flame Plane and could be considered experienced and knowledgeable. Every major force of Oakland would occasionally dispatch some young talents to have them get some experience in the Raging Flame Plane. He had even heard of some heaven-defying geniuses appearing within the first-rate forces, they could even contend against peak High Mages as 5th-rank High Mages. This was already inconceivable to Lan. But he now felt that these so-called geniuses were simply not worth mentioning when compared to Mappa Merlin. He was a true terrifying monster. As a 5th-rank High Mage, he could easily suppress and mana shackle Lan, a 4th-rank Archmage. If the young mage reached the Archmage realm, or even higher, just how frightening would he become? Thinking of this, cold sweat dripped down Lan's forehead. Nothing could be done about it, he was really scared. The young mage's voice echoed once again as Lan was lost in his thoughts. Remember, this is only a small punishment, if you dare cause trouble, I won't mind turning you into a true ordinary person. After saying this, Lin Yun added an extra sentence, just like Abi. True ordinary person. The esteemed Archmage was once again scared by Lin Yun, his face was extremely pale, he naturally understood what the young mage meant by true ordinary person. It wasn't as simple as being mana shackled, he would really cripple his mana whirlpool. Being mana shackled, reduced to an ordinary person without any power, was extremely painful, if his mana whirlpool was crippled, he would remain an ordinary person all his life. It was 10,000 times more painful than death. Hold on, Abi. He suddenly reacted, the young mage's sentence mentioning Abi Merlin made Lan alarmed. That rumor was true. The son Sir Thorn was so proud of was crippled by Mappa Merlin. Lan had spent the past few years in the Raging Flame Plane and hadn't returned to the Merlin family, but he would occasionally receive some news from the Merlin family. When he arrived at the Flame Frost Fort half a year ago, he heard someone say that Thorn's son, Abi, had his magic path severed in an accident. His mana whirlpool had been crippled and he became an ordinary person without any chance of becoming a mage ever again. It was the first time he heard Mappa Merlin's name. Naturally, he hadn't believed that rumor because the ancestral land then announced that Mappa became a commander and would be dispatched to the Raging Flame Plane. Who was Abi Merlin after all? That was a young genius of the Merlin family, a high mage in his 30s which would become an archmage after a few years. Moreover, his father was Thorn Merlin who had made countless contributions in the Raging Flame Plane, fighting for the Merlin family's benefits for the past decades. If Mappa had truly crippled Abi, how could he not be punished and instead be appointed as a commander by the ancestral land? There was no need to think about it, it was irrational. Not to mention, Thorn was not to be trifled with. The son he was proud of was crippled. This wasn't the kind of hatred that could be resolved. How could Maffa get away with it? Thus, Lan always thought that this was nothing more than a rumor. But he was suddenly awakened when the young mage mentioned Abi. He might have made an error in judgment all along. That rumor was most likely true. It wasn't that Thorn was willing to let the young mage off, he just didn't have a better option, or to be more precise, he didn't have the strength to retaliate against the young mage. After all, from the thunderous power the young mage just displayed, he could easily suppress a 4th-rank archmage, thus the young mage's power should have far surpassed Thorn's. Since we are using my plan against the ice field mammoths, you have to listen to everything I say. But, I can give you another chance, as long as you swear to no longer look for trouble and behave as we lead the ice field mammoths over there, I can remove your mana shackles. After saying that, Lin Yun slowly released his grasp on Lan's neck with a helpless expression. If Lan was left here with the mana shackles, he would definitely die. The other side was a member of the Merlin family after all. If he did so, it would inevitably make Ryan and Orin dissatisfied with his actions. If he was obedient, Lin Yun wouldn't mind removing the shackles. But if he kept his attitude... Lan was moved when he heard that the young mage was willing to remove you. Lin Yun was getting impatient. After all, he had wasted a lot of time on that archmage. I swear to listen to everything you say. Lan was nervous and took a deep breath. Saying that sentence seemed to have used all of his energy. Good, I hope you can remember your promise, Sir Lan. Lin Yun smiled, he scratched his cheek and then softly chanted an incantation. After finishing this, he carefully helped pat the dust off Lan's body, before completely ignoring him and turning into a shadow, rushing into the distance. Phew. Seeing the back of the young mage and sensing the mana flowing within his body, Lan sighed in relief. He felt as if he had gotten a new lease on life after going through a nightmare. Half an hour later, the 6 of them did their best to follow Lin Yun's plan and used all their cards to draw the 1,000 mammoths over. But no matter how cautious they were, it was hard to defend against the ice spells as they kept moving between the ice field mammoths. They all had various injuries, heavy and light, including Lin Yun who had been hit twice earlier. But as long as they could escape danger, a few injuries were nothing to Lin Yun.